I want y'all to write the word dread on your paper. Don't worry, we're going to go from dread to hope. And think about what in your current daily task or your job elicits a feeling of dread. You don't have to write it down, especially if you're at the table with coworkers. But I want you to think about that. Think about the way your body feels when you hear dread. I mean, even the sound of the word is kind of, ugh. So if you are feeling that, that is life speaking to you. That is a big, clear message that burnout is either here or it's lurking around the corner. So pay attention. One study showed that 68% of solopreneurs are burned out. 42% of small business owners are burned out, and about half of founders are burned out. And working in healthcare, the number is about 50%. So if you're in this room, you are at risk for burnout. Why? Because you're constantly under pressure, right? You're under pressure to achieve, succeed, and perform. And that's even if you're at home with your kids trying to just be the perfect mom. So you're also probably doing a lot of repetitive tasks. That puts you at risk for burnout, especially if you're doing repetitive tasks that you don't enjoy. And we're all doing that all day, every day. You may be isolated, especially if you're in a business by yourself. Maybe that's why you came to this conference today, because you're like me, at home, in my closet, on Zoom. You know, I have a closet office. I'm not just like sitting under the clothes. But that can lead to a feeling of isolation. And finally, a lot of us lose our identities with our jobs. We forget who we are when you strip away the title or the role. Like, who would you be if you weren't able to introduce yourself as, you know, I'm Hope, I'm a dermatology PA, I'm Hope, I'm a whatever. Like, who are you underneath all that? We forget all that. So, as Natasha said, I've experienced burnout a couple of times. The first time was pretty textbook. It was this deep emotional and physical exhaustion. Have y'all ever felt that? Like, you just do not want to go do what you have to do. I also stopped enjoying the parts of my job that I had once enjoyed. So as I'm saying all this, think about if you felt this in your life, even if it's with your home life. And then I became cynical and resentful and a little bitter. And you better believe I took it out on my kids and my husband. I talked to a lot of women who feel this way. You can feel this way with your work life. You can feel this way with toddlers, with teenagers, even with your spouse, where you find yourself thinking, what was I thinking? And I'm married to Lauren's brother over there, so don't tell him I said that. So more than anything else, y'all, if you don't take anything else from this talk, burnout is a wake-up call. It is a wake-up call that something in your life needs to shift. It is not a sign that you are broken. It's not a sign that you made the wrong choice, that you're in the wrong job. It's just a sign that your life is shaking you and saying, pay attention, something needs to shift. So, what can you do to avoid burnout? And if you're already feeling that way, what can you do to make it better? Being a life coach, I'm not a therapist, so I don't give advice. Instead, I help clients access their own inner wisdom. We all possess this inner knowing that helps guide us. So I ask questions that help you access that. The first thing is know where you want to go. Just like Natasha alluded to, have an idea where you want to be in 3 years or 5 years. And don't just have a vague idea of, I want to be successful or I want to write a book. Get really specific about what you want to accomplish. Tim Ferriss, a podcaster, says, life punishes the vague wish and rewards the specific ask. So there's a tool called Ideal Day Visualization. I have it on my YouTube channel, Coach Hope Cook. And basically, it walks you through from start to finish. You imagine a day 3 or 5 years into the future from the moment your eyes blink open. How do you want to feel when you start your workday? What do you want to do? Who do you want to do it with? Who are your coworkers? Are you working from home? Do you have a hybrid work situation? And you sort of map out every single minute or hour of that day. How would you want it to look? If you can't imagine specific details, at least have an idea of what you want to feel. What do you yearn for? So what I used to yearn for when I was working 40 hours a week, tied to a schedule, was freedom. And I knew I wanted freedom because one day I did not get picked for jury duty, praise the Lord, and I had the rest of the day to myself, and I never had that. So it was like TJ Maxx or Target, all to myself. And I thought, I just want flexibility, I want freedom. So I made decisions that moved me toward that. My sister-in-law, Lauren, she used to say when her kids were little, I just want to have like peace in my house. So peace was what she was moving towards. So all her decisions moved her towards that. So the second thing is packing for the journey. So what are you going to need? Life is a journey, so what do you want to take with you? What do you need to add, and what do you need to take away? So this book is chock full of tools, but one of the easiest ones is called Catch 3. So for a few weeks, every day, you list 3 things that filled you up and 3 things that drained you. And you can't list the same 3 things every day, because we would all list, coffee or Days of Our Lives or something. I'm just kidding. Nobody watches that anymore. But you list 3 things, because if you don't know what fills you up and what drains you, guess what? You are going to stay stuck. You're going to be exactly where you are, because if nothing changes, nothing will change. So you have to identify what direction you want to go in, who you want to take with you. That brings us to, actually, we'll skip number 3 and come back to it. So who do you want to take with you on your journey? Think about it this way, like who are your raving fans, your diehard supporters? You want to spend more time with those people. You want to nurture those relationships. And pay attention to who sucks the life out of you. And if it's people you currently work with, how can you minimize that exposure? So you have to get really, really pay attention to how your body is responding in different situations, because the body doesn't lie. That's how lie detector tests work. So notice if your body feels heavy or tight or clenched when you're around certain people or you're doing certain tasks. Or do you feel energized, lit up, fulfilled? Move towards the things that fill you up. Okay, so on any journey, there are going to be pit stops, detours, and layovers. You don't have to have every single detail figured out. Oftentimes, action leads to clarity, so you only need to know your next right step. You only need to know your next right step. We get so hung up on, I need to have the whole thing mapped out. So the ideal day visualization is not meant to be like a hard and fast, it has to be this way. It's just a map to point you in the right direction. So knowing the next right step, I have my clients break it down into turtle steps. So a turtle step is the most ridiculously easy step that takes usually 30 minutes or less. So like you wouldn't have a step that, says, I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile, because that's pretty complicated. That can take a few hours, if not days. So instead, you may say, I am going to, update one thing on LinkedIn, and that counts as a turtle step. Okay, and number 5, permission to pivot. So what do you do if you do all these steps? You visualize what you want your life to look like, what fills you up, what drains you, who you want to be with on your journey. And then you arrive and you're like, oh, this is not really what I wanted. You have to give yourself permission to pivot. So I mentioned that I've experienced burnout a couple of times. The second time, I'm still at the same job. It was perfect on paper. I just started feeling like something was missing. I found myself thinking, is this what I'm going to be doing forever? I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And so if you find yourself feeling that way, you have to give yourself permission to zoom out, evaluate your situation, and make some new choices. So this is one of the easiest tools, and I want everybody to fill in the blank when I give you this prompt. And the trick is you have to write down the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't filter it. So think of your current day-to-day task or your job, and think of one issue that you have that's been nagging at you or that annoys you or that you're just sort of perplexed about. Okay, if I'm 100% honest when it comes to this situation, I need to, and then write. There's something about those words, to be honest. To be honest, I need to. So if you find yourself at this crossroads, to be honest, I need to, and then just say the first thing that comes to your mind. In April of this year, I finished this book. I did all the promotion things. I figured out how to put it on Amazon. I basked in the joy of having finished something that took me forever. And then I realized I was exhausted. I was exhausted. And so I took my own advice and I dug deep. I figured out what was filling me up, what was draining me. I realized the podcast that I'd published every single week for 4 years was draining me. I answered that question, to be honest. And I said, to be honest, I really feel like hitting the pause button. And so I did. I took my own advice. I hit the pause button. I stopped speaking at conferences. And right now I'm in a period of discernment to figure out my next step. So life is not linear. There really is not a finish line. There's not going to be a point where you look around and you think, yes, now I've arrived. There's no final destination that you can just sit back and rest. So give yourself grace. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself the space and the time to figure out what lights you up, what fills you with joy, and spend time thinking about what would make me feel like I'm getting away with something in my current job. Because life is too short, y'all. It is too short to spend it not doing what you were put here to do. Thank you.